So, getting into the gameplay, guys, pretty insane gameplay about to come at you. This is the second gold match I did with this guy, so this is the one that got him to level 20. So I don't have, in this gameplay, I don't have that evolution I was showing you guys in the build, where I discussed how I took the last evolution of the passive, the one that gives me the extra power damage and force in addition to power recharge. But if you just watch how much this guy slays in this gameplay, then you'll be able to see why getting that would make him much better. Alright, we were sitting in this lobby for quite some time. I hope it's not going to take too long. But basically, guys, you're just charging in. Actually, you're not. 90% of the time, you're going to want to open with Nova and then charge. You see what I'm saying? There are occasions where you're going to want to charge and then Nova. The reason for that is you're getting the... remember, in the evolution of charge we took, it gives us 25% power damage and force. That's only 5 seconds after charge that you get that. So if you charge and Nova, you'll get that. But if you Nova, then you charge... You're not going to get any bonus power damage and force from charge to your Nova. You see what I'm saying? But obviously, Nova is going to be setting up a bodic explosion, which is going to be like really, really good. The other thing you can do is if you Nova, charge, shoot at him a little bit with your disruptors or cryos or whatever, then shockwave. Your shockwave will be getting that boost if you do it within 5 seconds of your biotic charge. You see what I'm saying? So my point is basically 5 seconds after biotic charge, regardless of if you Nova it or not, you still have another body power, which is shockwave. Even though we have one measly point in it, it's still a power. So you'll get 20. You'll get the 25% power damage and force boost. That's cool right here. He's setting down those trip mines. They're not like Mass Effect 3, I doubt, you know, like where they were literally nuclear bomb trip mines, cane trip mines. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. But, yeah, guys, I mean, if you look at here, I mean, it's like some of these minions, it's like you gotta do so many different tricks to just get them to be dead. Like, I got a charge, and I got a Nova, I got a shockwave, Nova. Like, they can take damage on gold, guys. No doubt. But I think where this guy shines is when he gets the groups of enemies, right? Because, you know, one-on-one, it feels like you're doing a lot of backflips just to get a kill. But when you get a group of enemies and you start doing a bunch of area damage, then you see how useful this guy is. You know what I'm saying? And also, remember, I'm using a Disciple in this gameplay. It's actually kind of fitting, because in Mass Effect 3, that was like the first kind of shotgun I really put on the human Vanguard. When the game first came out, that's all I had, right? You know? And it's the same case right now. It's the Disciple. That's my best damage / light enough gun that I got. So it'll do the job for now. I'm hoping that I get a harder hitting shotgun soon, because that'll put this guy on steroids once he has that. And it is in a way good, guys, because if you look at the last Mass Effect 3, they implemented Nova, and like it was the coolest thing ever. But at least guys like me quickly realized that I was getting bored just charging and Novaing. I missed in Mass Effect 2 when I played a Vanguard. I would be not only just we didn't have Nova, but you would melee, you would use your gun, and you kind of had to just to stay alive and do damage as a Vanguard. You would charge, you would melee, you would shoot, you know, use your team. That's kind of, it had different elements to it. In Mass Effect 3, it became all about charging and Novaing as fast as humanly possible. And that's never kind of done it for me, guys, just kind of spamming those two powers. I get real bored. In this game, at least, you got really good mobility, so you can mix it up. My friend Decab was saying, because we were discussing this, we've always been discussing what the optimal Vanguard build would be. He's a sub, and he's totally sold by the charge Nova spam build. And I was telling him, you know, I think I might get kind of bored playing that, just doing non-stop charging and Novaing. And he said he had a really good point. He said that, you know, in this game, you have so much mobility and so many like things you can do with dodging and, you know, So that does kind of make it more interesting in between the charges and novas, because you're doing a lot more dodging and jumping and that kind of thing to mix it up and make it, you know, a little bit different. And even if I was doing a nova spam build, guys, I would still put Shockwave out there every now and then, because why the hell not? It's a free power. But the difference is, look, you know, your charge is 75% faster on the charge nova spam build. So it's gonna, and by the time you get all of the power recharge evolutions, that build's gonna be really good, guys. I'm not saying it's not, but for me, for just leveling and hopping right into gold, and, you know, also being a guy that likes to do all the different things, melee, shoot, you know, charge, nova, I like to do everything with the Vanguard. This build has been a lot of fun for me. And make no mistake, this is kind of the tanky build, because just read the evolutions, you know, if you don't believe me. Get your whole shield back, get 75 damage reduction, you know, that meleeing to get your shield back, like I'm doing right here, you know, that's what it is, guys. My setup right now is not really gonna be able to decimate, and even that other setup, Vanguards in general, we're not going to be able to decimate bosses until good guns come to this game for us. Not come to this game, but we unlock them, you know, because you can charge and nova the bosses a lot, and, you know, with time, I'll be doing a lot more of that, because don't worry about sync killing as much in this game, guys, because remember, you have these incredible dodges you can do, but the problem is that they put out a lot of damage in general, and so do the normal enemies. So you don't want to be out in the open charging and noving nonstop, because the power, and it might be different now that I got that last passive, which gives me 20% more power recharge. But in general, like, this is kind of a rule of thumb, even in Mass Effect 3, when you have when you're out in the open and there's tons and tons of DPS coming your way from minions, you can kind of micromanage it a little bit, but once the boss adds its DPS to the mix, it becomes very, very hard. And you will go down a couple times trying to do that, unless you have really good teammates that are kind of supporting you and putting out their own really good damage to kind of make the enemies die faster, so there's less damage on you. But, yeah, that's just kind of how it is, guys. And as far as devices are concerned, I love it when a Vanguard is on the team, or if I'm the Vanguard, because no one can quite tank and get the enemies off the guy and really protect the teammates like a Vanguard can, you know, up close. This is pretty cool. We had two Vanguard in this gameplay, actually. You probably just noticed it right there. I don't know. You're also really good at getting up teammates, that's the other thing. Or distracting enemies so a teammate can get up another teammate. I still think probably the Infiltrator will be better at getting up teammates, and it'll be the Vanguard's job to kind of protect the two while they're doing that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, compare this gameplay to my first gold gameplay, and you'll see we're all over the map, we're running around. The first match I did, the guys kind of wanted to sit in the back there, so I kind of had to protect them in the back. But the main point, and this has always been the case with Mass Effect, guys, reason why, like, I think a lot of people, like, when Mass Effect 3 came out in general, they just thought, like, oh, we can just camp, and then, like, you know, it'll be much easier. It was easier in some ways, but the whole reason why it was easier was not kind of what people thought it was. People thought camping was easier because, you know, you're holding out in a fortified location. But it really was never about that. It was about the fact that when you're camping, you're with your team. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're all holding down the same position, your whole team is supporting each other. And when you get into a, you know, the real nooks and crannies, the camping is actually harder because, like, all the enemies are going to come there, and, like, you guys are for some reason so committed to that one position that you're going to stay there and just hold that position down. What happened? I mean, in Mass Effect 3, it's like people would still be camping. Like, the Banshees are, like, charging into the camp spot. Like, nope, we're holding this spot down. It makes more sense. It's easier to get up and get the fuck out of there, you know? But what makes this game actually, what was making camping easy that people didn't understand, some people, is that your whole team was forced to stick together, and it should be no different in this game. Let the whole team stick together, and the game's going to be easier. For the start, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to be easier when the team is sticking together. Once everyone gets more confident, gets better guns, learns the game better, learns how the enemies work better, you can kind of run around and do your own thing, like we do on Silver and Bronze. You know, Silver, we just all run around doing our own thing. And remember, all these games, for the most part, being with randoms or with a, what do you call it, subs, and we haven't had a whole lot of communication going on, and that's a big problem. We need to, you know, start using our mics more, but a lot of people don't have mics, or they don't want to use them, and that's just kind of the thing. But honestly, I'm beginning to believe that this game is much easier than Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was at launch. And I could be wrong. It could just be that Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was a whole new concept as far as gameplay and learning everything. So we had to learn everything from scratch, except for what we learned in obviously Mass Effect 1 and 2 campaign. Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, the objectives, every little thing, like it was all a brand new concept. Now most of these people have like played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and this game isn't much different from that. So you have a general idea of how things are supposed to work. The people playing this game do. So either this game is a little bit easier, or people just know what they're doing more now. I definitely feel like I know what I'm doing way more since I played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. And not just play, I played this shit. I have like an insane amount of hours in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Like a sickening amount. My I never got really into like the N7 ranking, all that bullshit, because I like to play my characters level 20. But if you look at my hours in that game, it's like it's like addict level, you know, how many hours I had in that game. And that has really made me better at this game, because not much has changed, guys. It's evolved, but it hasn't really changed. The premise is still very much the same, which is kind of good, because everyone freaking loved Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. You know, like everyone, like the complaints, there were a couple complaints for sure, like obviously the RNG, there's a couple different complaints, and I think they've addressed a lot of those complaints in this game. Like, they've fixed a lot, and they've improved a lot of things that we probably didn't even think of. You know, they came up with interesting things. This, like, now your melee on this Vanguard, it's giving me a little bit of my shield back. Like, that wasn't in, you know, Mass Effect 3. Like, that's a great idea that they just added to this. So, yeah, I do feel they've struck a right chord in improving the game, fixing some of the things people were bitching about, and in addition, keeping it true, you know, to what we loved about Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. So that is good. And forget everything else that I just said. The fact that they've improved the mobility so much, give them major props for that, because holy shit, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 are some of the clunkiest games I've ever played. It's such a clunky game, like, and it felt like it got better in Mass Effect 3, and I remember like watching a video when Mass Effect 3 was coming out, and the guy was going on and on about how fluid this game was going to be because of the A button and stuff. And then you pick up the game, you're like, the A button is doing everything. I'm sprinting, I'm getting stuck on cover. I'm trying to do a dodge, I'm getting stuck on cover. Everything is on the A button. Like, what's so fluid about this, dude? You know, like the dev was like trying to tell us like how fluid Shepard could move around the battlefield now in Mass Effect 3. Bullshit. You know, that's just not the case. This game is fluid. This game is extremely fluid. The movement is so goddamn fluid. The dodging, the mechanic, the jumping, the cover system, everything has gotten better in that respect. 1,000 times better. And you could just say that they're just this franchise is catching up to where most modern shooters are and have gone to, you know, as far as movement is concerned. But let me tell you something. From playing Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 a lot, I can tell you this is the most fluid the game has ever played, and it's the best as far as that's concerned. And it is because the first 3 were clunky as hell. You know, I was so excited in Mass Effect 3 when they just give you a goddamn combat role. You know, because in Mass Effect 2, you'd like charge in as a Vanguard, and then you'd be like, okay, what now? Just like this awkward moment after charging in Mass Effect 2 where every enemy looks at you and they're like, how stupid are you? And they just unload on you. You know, until you got the exploding Inferno rounds with the... I would use the Maddock. And I played Insanity Mass Effect 2 quite a few times. And as long as you have that, that's when you can kind of start to stagger the enemies because of the exploding Inferno rounds. Then you have some answer once you get in close. Besides... Yeah, but you'll watch some gameplay. Some people, like, they charge in and then, like, they run straight to cover. Like, that's not very Vanguard-y, like, but that's kind of how you were forced to play. Like, charging and then running to cover. Why don't they start off and stay in cover? What's the point of even charging then?
But in this game, they give you an answer. You have all these awesome dodges and jumps that you can be juking out the enemies after you charge in. Not to mention your Nova's giving you such invulnerability. See, like, I mean, right around here, I mean, those rockets, I just kind of dodged them. What would I do in Mass Effect 2? I would just sit there like an idiot and take the rockets, you know? So the movement has made this Vanguard so good, just because of that. I do feel like I'm still not putting out enough damage. I mean, if you look at this room full of enemies, like, I'm taking so long to kill just these minions, and that could be the gun. Maybe the Nova spammy guy will be able to kill enemies faster, but you know, this is like ridiculous amount of time, in my opinion. Now, the only thing I'm kind of questioning as far as my build is concerned is the extra damage to shields versus extra damage to armor. Against this team, obviously, the extra damage to armor on Nova would be a gajillion times better, but against Cat, shield's going to be way better. Shield damage against the robots, shield damage is going to be way better. So 2 out of 3, right? And in general, I will say that these mercenaries seem like the easiest enemy to me. They seem like the easiest enemy. And that may be why I see so many gold lobbies that are set to gold against this mercenary group. Because it does seem to be the easiest one, guys. But yeah, you know, and using the melee to get your shield back is not a super effective method, to be honest, because you're not getting damage reduction or no damage when you're meleeing, whereas when you're novaing, you're taking no damage. When you're charging, you're not taking damage. When you're meleeing, you are taking damage. So even though you're getting your shield back, you're taking bullets at the same time. So use it strategically, guys, you know. Use it strategically for sure. It is a nice little oh shit button to pull out. It's almost like a... It buys you a quick second almost to decide if you want to off-pack or if you don't want to off-pack. Here's my... this brings up a great point. My biggest beef with this game so far, you guys might think it's minuscule, but to me it pisses me off to no end. And if you're a Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, this will piss you off a lot. Why in the hell have they switched the button that you use in ammo pack and the button that you use in off-pack with? Like, just to be dicks, like, is that what it is? Because in Mass Effect 3, if you just... my brain is hardwired to tell me, hey, push the left, you know, the left... You know what I'm talking about, the little scroll thing where you have your... where you give squad commands and where you use, like, the Cobras and the missiles and the health packs and everything. For some reason, they fucking switched the ammo pack and the health pack. Like, just to be dicks, I think. Because now, my brain, from being a loyal Mass Effect player and playing Mass Effect 3, my brain tells me to push the left scroll arrow to use an ammo pack and use the right scroll pad to use a health pack. But in this game, I'm doing the opposite thing. So it's like something to get used to, and now when I go back to play Mass Effect 3, I'm going to be all fucked up. So that is bullshit. Like, why would they do that? Luckily I have the Elite controller, so I'm going to decide if I'm going to have to remap, but it's going to be a bitch for the campaign. I guess I'm going to have to make 2 different control schemes. One for multiplayer, one for the campaign. And I'm just going to have to switch this game probably to the Mass Effect 3 way, where I ammo pack on the left stick and I health pack on the right stick. Just because I'm so used to that from Mass Effect 3. And for people that don't have the Elite controller, what a pain, what a stupid decision. Like, really, like, just asinine. There's no reason to do that. It literally was just to be dicks, I think. Hilarious, but, you know, fuck them. Oh, man, dude. The thing that I've been having trouble with, too, is it does seem like the charge glitch is back in some respect. Just like it was in Mass Effect 3, where you'd be pushing charge, mashing charge, and, like, you were not charging. It doesn't seem to happen at all in this game, but if you go back and watch the Disruptor rounds versus Remnant gameplay I have, I killed like all these enemies, like a big group of enemies, and there was one of those walking table guys, you know, just a minion, the lowest level minion on their team, and he's just like putting rounds to me. I'm like, okay, I'll just charge it. And my charge button wasn't working. I was smashing the shit out of it, and it wouldn't let me charge. And that was a big problem in Mass Effect 3, and they kind of tried to get rid of it, kind of didn't. It was a big problem, but, you know, it seems to be back. Luckily, it didn't happen too much in this game, but it is a pain in the ass when it happens. I like the jump melee. The jump melee is cool. Meleeing in general, I'm a melee guy. I like melee builds. I do feel underpowered against these Krogan enemies.
If I had the armor damage on Nova, it would be much better, but, you know, can't have it both ways for sure. Let me get into Extraction now. Again, it's no different from any Mass Effect, you know, 3 multi. I always say no different from any Mass Effect because I always forget. We've only had one Mass Effect multiplayer. If anything, guys, give them props for this. They were able to, you know, on the first try, make a multiplayer Mass Effect 3 that everyone loved, like universally. It had its issues, no fucking problem. Yeah, no argument there. It had its issues, but overall, people loved it and people played the shit out of it. Now, have they fixed the biggest problem with Mass Effect 3 multiplayer in this game? No, the RNG is back. They haven't fixed that, so that is kind of a bitch, but talking about the stuff they have fixed, it's not even so much what they have fixed, it's almost the stuff they learned as they were putting out patches and DLC for Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is in this game at launch. You see what I'm saying? Because when we started playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, see right there I'm going to get dropped by that boss. That's just kind of how it is against them. See, that's why I tell you guys, I'm not even worried about the sync kills from these bosses anymore, because the bottom line is, you hear me drop again. You see, I'm not worried about their sync kills. The dodging is going to save me from their sync kills. I can easily just out-juke them and not get sync killed. I'm scared of that monster DPS they put out. So the only time you should really be charging and noving at those bosses, and that was kind of a test right there, because I had never really done it properly on Gold. Like, had one to myself and seen just how charging and noving would work out against them. Let's go. Also, I'm not going to extract, by the way, if you didn't notice. So yeah, I wanted to test how does charging and noving work out against bosses. I know already. I'm not worried about their sync kills, like I was saying, because his guy's dodging is so good. You can charge Nova and get out of there with the dodge very easily. I'm worried about that insane damage that they put out, that insane burst damage that they put out. And you saw it drop me twice right there. It's fast kill, guys. So yeah, I'm not going to extract here because of my curiosity killed the cat. I wanted to see just how much damage that guy would put out 1v1, and it's a lot. I don't know if I had Cyclonics on this game, I can't remember now, but I'm going to highly recommend that. I favor the best gear for this guy, I have no doubt, will end up being, at least for my setup, Cyclonic and Incendiary rounds. I use cryos in this game, like I said, so I'm getting cryo explosions. I like the fire explosions better, and I fire ammo also does more damage to armor targets. That is better. Yeah, I did pretty good, top of the scoreboard. Yeah, still feeling underpowered on Gold, though. I mean, not able to do it against the boss targets. The gun is just not doing it. It's a Disciple, but that's an easily solvable problem. Not easily, but a solvable problem. Play the fucking game and, you know, get a better gun in the RNG system, luckily, if you are lucky. And use Incendiary rounds. Not much else to say, guys. I hope you enjoyed this game. Play and build. Be sure to rate, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.